the dark, I play my dreams. Permaculture flows like sweet streams. I'm the daddy with the know-how seed. Green in the world like it's meant to be. Permaculture, P-I-M-P, I'm the king. That's the love in everything. Bring a change, making it last. Join the permaculture on the roof.
Welcome to episode 306 of the Permaculture Pimpcast, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is my passion. The only pimpcast on planet Earth where we discuss permaculture, preparedness, and practical living. Glad to be with all of you this evening. Let me let them jams play.
Where we find a place, we fly the earth.
I gotta say, I like the new music. I really dig it. I like the old music too, but there wasn't everybody, but some folks were complaining that, hey, it's, we don't like the rap or anything. I'm not a big fan of rap either. So, so cool to have some new stuff. And I got a couple of others in the queue also that is being worked on. So hopefully that works out. This episode, as always, brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap from twooldcrowshomestead.com. Turn that sip into a pimp. Bam! Heaven's Harvest, 10% off with promo code PERMA. Yeah, I haven't talked about those guys in a while. And there's a reason I'm talking about them right now. And I'll get into some of that probably with Ken and Amy on it tonight. Remember, for all those that are writing to me saying, oh, I don't like PIMPs. Look, it's an acronym. It stands for Permaculture is my passion. So, that's how we take an ugly word and turn it into something. I want to give a shout out to Renewed Homestead out there working as our monitors in the chat. Ladies Farms in the house. Haven't heard from them in a while. I thought I saw you in there last night. East Tennessee Living, Amanda's Secret Garden. And folks, if you would hit that thumbs up on the way in, tell them to go ahead and start suppressing us because they always do. So that's exactly why we not only broadcast right here on YouTube, but also in Rumble as well. Now, I'm going to handle all the housekeeping up front, y'all, and I'm going to point out a couple of things. Look, I know there's going to be some disappointed people out there. We got enough rain for me to be able to make one batch of bone sauce, and it's sold out we put it up today, and it's sold out within a couple of hours. So, hopefully I can go ahead and get some more of that made. I know a lot of you are having deer and rabbit problems, and that's what that stuff is meant to do, but it's a lot of work. It's a whole lot of everything that goes into that stuff. It's not just something you go out there and whip. The atmospheric conditions got to be right. I can't be in the middle of a burn ban, and so many things have to be going on. But hopefully this, right now we're in a low warning, so we'll see how long that lasts. But I don't know how low it is when the wind's kicking up like it was today. So don't worry, folks. I'll have some more. Remember, Living Soil Foundation. I want to give a hat tip and a shout out to all you folks out there that have donated. Can't thank you enough for that because we are doing big things in North Carolina. And my guests on today were out there helping us a couple of weeks ago. Don't worry, we're going to cover that as well. But if you want one of these ball-in watches right now, looks like I'm calling in artillery. That's how big this thing is. It's called a wave watch. Anyway, it has all those self-edgio frequencies that I bombard my body with all day, pretty much. If you want one, Billy 100 will get you $100 off of that. Okay, Redemption Shield. Look, I'm always G'd up from the feet up, and that means grounded. So whether it's outside in my bare feet, which you're able to do right now, but you may want to be one of those people who, let's say you work in an office setting and you can't get outside as often as you'd like. Well, this is a way for you to ground at your desk or put your bare feet on it as I'm doing right now, because I'm wearing these birth control glasses right now, which are basically blue blockers, but I'm in a studio and I'm surrounded by studio lights. So I'm getting hit with all kinds of blue light, and that ain't cool. So anyway, if you want to stay grounded, Redemption Shield Perma will get you 10% off. And remember, EMP Shield, $50 off with promo code PERMA. And folks, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world right now, and it seems like we have more. Oh my goodness, man. Denise is all over this stuff. I can't even keep up with it. So anyway, I'll put up on the screen for all you folks out there. There's the thing for Wave Watch. Here's the one for Redemption Shield. It's all in the chat if you want to go out there and man, I can't even believe how quick she is on this stuff. I mean, and Look, there it is. Look, I'm not your biggest tech dude in the world. You want to know how to grow good tomatoes? Talk to me. You want to know how to grow trees and stuff? Okay, I'm your man. But this tech stuff, thank God for people out there that are willing to do it. And once again, I want to give a shout out to Renewed Homestead. So remember, hit that thumbs up on the way in and be sure to check us out because we're going to be talking about some cool stuff today. Well, okay, so I remember meeting Ken and Amy a while back. They're pretty local to me, and I'm not going to reveal. I'm not sure what they're going to be willing to talk about, but right off the bat, man, they were just, you know how you meet somebody and you get that vibe, like, oh man, these are cool people. I know I'm gonna, you know, they're not weirdos or anything, and no, okay, I can tell by the laughing right there that they think they're weirdos, but. You know, when you come across some people at a lot of these gatherings, you don't know who you're going to meet sometimes. I mean, there was one guy insisted on following me to the bathroom, and it was a porta-john. Like he was going to go in there with me. Sorry, homie, that was a single occupancy. And you meet some of these other folks that are, you know, most people are just fantastic. And these guys are among them. So it was cool to be able to get them on the show. So, Ken and Amy, how y'all doing?
Doing good, thanks. How are you doing?
Well, I should say Mountainside Homestead with Ken and Amy. I'm doing good.
It's all good. We're people know us as Ken and Amy, so that's perfect.
Yeah. Well, the homesteaders formerly known as Ken and Amy, we'll call you won't call you Mountainside with Ken and Amy, but Mountainside Homestead. Okay, so you guys just live down the road from me, not too far. Okay, right off the bat, there's going to be a number of people that don't know who you are and what you're doing. So take as long as you need. Why don't y'all give us a little bio on yourself, whatever you're comfortable with, and then we'll kind of take it from there.
Okay, you want to start?
Go ahead.
So we're Ken and Amy. We actually live on the other side of the county. So we're in Hot Springs, North Carolina. We moved out here in 2018, left the corporate world, and we bought a cabin rental business. And, you know, everything was going really good. Then what happened? The world got stupid and shut down.
That's 2020.
That was in 2020. And, you know, we started doing things. We were already into chickens because Amy wanted chickens, wanted nothing to do with the chickens at the time. But then after the world opened up and, you know, we started getting busy, we started offering, you know, chicken meals to our guests in our cabins. So that went over really well. So well that we ran out of roosters really quick. So we started getting roosters from friends, which we ran out of really quick. So we had to find a way to make chicken fast or grow chicken fast. So we came across meat birds and, you know, and that's really what kicked us into the whole homesteading lifestyle. Since then, we do meat chickens, we do egg layer chickens, we have ducks, 2 different kinds of turkeys,
Pigs.
and sheep.
Our main thing is sheep.
Yeah. The sheep are for meat and dairy, also wool. What else is there?
That's a pretty good overview.
I mean, that's the quick snapshot of us.
Well, let me back you up a little bit because up until Trump got elected, I would have said that we had record numbers getting into the homestead space right now. And you said you basically left the corporate world. Let's back up a little bit because from that perspective alone, I get a lot of people that have written to me saying, "Man, I'm basically a corporate sharecropper, and I want to get out of this. How do I do what you did?" So, you know, you guys actually did it. So talk to me about what that life was like and what was the impetus to make you, because clearly, I mean, for people to go full stead Green Acres out there, I mean, there had to be some motive.
It is a complete, it's not only just a lifestyle change, it's also a mindset change too. Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that? But it's, yeah, I mean,
to get out of the matrix, you have to make a decision.
Yes.
For me, the decision was made for me. I was let go from the company that I was actually interviewing with for a director's position with. We were out in the RTP area at the time, so all my credentials, big quality background, you know, we were like, well, I'll find something in no time. But nothing happened as far as the job's concerned. So Amy was like, find something we could do together. That's how we ended up doing the cabin rental business. And from there, it just seemed to make sense. You know, it was really a calling to stay out of that corporate world, figure out how to raise chickens. Then from there, it just kind of started snowballing. And, you know, you got to take a certain guidance, and there has to be a certain will to want to live this way. I mean, if you want to live this way, you can. There's no reason you can't. You could get out of the corporate world, start living a lifestyle that's more fulfilling to yourself and your family and to the earth that you're taking care of. You know, it's a decision is what it comes down to, Billy. You know?
Was there any impetus? I mean, like a point of critical mass besides losing your job? I mean, were you like so many people that write to me? And honestly, I can relate to it as well, where I wasn't necessarily in the corporate world. Well, to a certain extent I was at one point in time. But for me, I knew I was already doing this part-time before I did it full-time. And I knew that I knew that the hamster wheel I was on was eventually going to come to an end. And honestly, I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I made a lot of money, did a lot, you know, made a lot of money, did a lot of this, did a lot of that. But, you know, when you work like that, you find out that the best hours of every day, I mean, think about this. Everybody, we go out there, if we work in a regular 9 to 5, we go out there and we give strangers the best we have to offer in every day. And then your family gets what's left over. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, was there any particular impetus that made you make that jump? I mean, was it just tearing at you to keep doing this work? And was it worth it?
Definitely worth it to get out. Yes. But it was,
well, for me, I was in corporate first when I got out of college, and then I got out of it when I was raising kids, and then got back into it later on, and it just did not fit well with me. I hated it. I didn't like the commute. I mean, the money was there, but that was, you know, because a means to an end. It wasn't like I kind of enjoyed what I was doing.
Now, me, honestly, I rocked. I mean, you know, the corporate world, it you know, I was a self-made man. I am going to put it out there. Actually, I did a sermon on it not too long ago, but I was a self-made man, living the life I wanted to live, how I wanted to live it. And once that got taken away from me by losing that job, I knew it wasn't right to be living that way anymore. So for me, that was that critical moment. You know, once that job was taken from me, I'm like, oh, that could really happen to me too. So I did have to stay back in corporate for a little while once we moved out here. But, you know, eventually I was able to, I knew the right thing to do was to get out. And eventually I was able to do that. So.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to ask, I mean, obviously you two aren't from here. So what made you, where were you, if you don't mind me asking, and what made you pick Western North Carolina of all places? Well,
we were in the Raleigh-Durham area.
Okay.
We worked in RTP, and the first place we looked at was actually down in Franklin. And, you know, we were looking there and everything was going well, but that deal actually fell through. We looked at a couple other properties. But once we came here to the mountain that we own, it was like we were told this is where we're supposed to be. Honestly, never heard of hot springs before in my life. But once we got here, we saw the place, toured the place, fell in love with it, purchased. But as soon as we moved and started interacting with some of the people, we were welcomed with open arms. Mm-hmm. We didn't come here to try to change anything.
There you go.
We wanted to be part of the area. Mm-hmm. You know, you get a lot of people coming in the area that they want to change. They love the area, but they want to change it to what they had for whatever reason. You know, we came in and we were welcomed. So that was that was very nice. Actually, I've been told I hillbilly better than hillbillies that have been born and raised here. So
I think that's a profound value and importance, particularly when those of us that are transplants. You know, I was raised and grew up in the South and everything, so the transition for me wasn't all that bad. But when you get what a lot of the indigenous people around here, and there aren't many of them, it seems like, when they see somebody come in and they view as pretty much as carpetbaggers, let's say they come from New York or California, that's one of the biggest complaints that I run into from the people that are from here is, you know, they come in from elsewhere and then they try to change the culture, and that ain't going to work well up in these mountains. No, I mean, like these guys, it just blows my mind. I can't believe they still do it. I don't know if you have this phenomenon where you are, but where I am, you'll have these guys on bicycles, you know, the ones with the hats and, you know, the fancy Lance Armstrong kind of bicycles. And these guys take more of the road than they should. They don't realize NASCAR started up in these mountains. These old boys are rolling through here. I'm like, I can't believe one of them hadn't been killed yet. But yeah, but still, they still don't have the wherewithal to realize, hey, you know, maybe I shouldn't be in the middle of the doggone lane, maybe right on the shoulder a little bit, let these guys go around. But that's one of the things that people universally hate around here.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it sounds like you've made that transition well. Let me take a little side note here. Got a message here from Rumble. Question, hey, Billy, it's Kale from the sheep class, just asking for prayers from Middle Tennessee. Tornadoes and flooding. Genuinely believe we are getting hit with a weather weapon right now. Yeah, so I will definitely be praying for you, Kale, and everybody else out there and everybody else in the audience. We always do every single day. And you will definitely be in our prayers because a lot of that stuff is going on. And speaking of weather weapons, let me go back to Ken and Amy here. Well, I don't know that we've ever had a direct conversation around this, but Michelle's kind of relayed some conversations.
Oh, I've told her some stuff.
Yeah. So I want to get into that regarding maybe weather weapons. So obviously you made that jump. You left corporate America. You get out here in Western North Carolina. You buy a business. It's off and running. You combat, multiply it, and add chickens to the dinners to your guests out there. They're obviously loving it. And then walk me through what happened during the hurricane, because your story is echoed by so many others out here, and I think it definitely needs to be told. So, walk me through what happened maybe prior to that. I said tornado. I mean hurricane. Walk me through what happened before, during, and after.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know. Where to start?
Well, we had that front that stalled.
Yeah.
And kind of like the one that's in Middle Tennessee right now. But it just kind of stopped there. And we had about, what was it?
4 days?
4 days of rain.
Like that, all that rain leading up to the actual hurricane, I think just set it up for like
Absolutely.
This recipe for disaster.
So we had all this rain come in, and then, you know, every weather forecaster was saying this weather event is going to hit right here. It's going to come up, hit Western North Carolina, and, you know, do what it's going to do. And, you know, when it started, you know, we didn't get a lot of rain here from the actual hurricane, and we had some wind, but as that day progressed, all of a sudden there was warning calls going out that the river's coming up and it's going to start flooding. I mean, and it was like out of the blue. You know, we went to town earlier that day, drove through some high water, but it was bad, but it wasn't as bad as we, you know,
going out there. But once we got to town, the town was just
decimated.
Yeah, it was flooding, and yeah,
because all the water came down the mountain from Spring Creek, from
Asheville, Marshall, for, you know, with the French Broad River. Yeah, and then there were people that you actually had to help with some swiftwater rescues right down our road, because we thought there was one lady who was not in her home, and she actually was. And
so we're about a half mile from the French Broad River where we're at. We're 300 feet above it, but it's only a half mile away. And the river came up. It probably came inland 150 to 200 yards inland, crested over the river. So there was swift water rescues going on that day. I actually was able to take my side-by-side over our neighbor's property and, help get some neighbors out that way because it was still dry back behind them. So there was swift water going on. I was pulling people out. It was just a lot of people working together to make sure everybody was safe. But
yeah, to say that again, everybody was working together. It didn't matter who you were, where you were from, what religion you were, if you were born here, transplant, everybody was working together because we all wanted, make sure everybody was safe. And then later on, we worked together trying to, help get people out and then start rebuilding. That was like the most amazing thing to me, was everybody working together.
Yeah, it was. Man, I got to say, did you notice anything odd? This is a dumb question, but I'm going to ask it just the same. Okay, so prior to the event, there was chemtrailing like I've never seen before. I mean, it was on another level. Did you observe any of that?
Oh yeah, it was like yesterday morning.
Yeah,
I mean, yesterday morning there wasn't a clear sky in the lines.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, I never heard it put that way, but I like that.
And it was crazy, leading up to that. And it was just nonstop, plane after plane after plane flying overhead with all these lines, checkerboard, and it was terrible. But again,
So
it was yesterday morning.
So you observed the same thing I did pretty much for the most part, is that days prior, because the rain they were talking about Asheville flooding days before the hurricane was still down in Florida.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is going on here? How are we feeling the hurricane already? It's a couple of days out. So I thought the thing had already gotten here. And then when the actual hurricane got here, we've had winds that were it wasn't that bad where I am. And then all of a sudden it left and we still had power, still had internet, had the whole thing. And then an hour later, all of a sudden we lost all of it, which was bizarre because I'm like, hold on. That thing had come and gone. And I was like, okay, I lost a single tree. I needed to cut it down anyway. And that thing was gone. But there was a lot of other weird anomalies going on around here. People like Bear Independent noticed that, we got tornadoes happening within this hurricane that are spinning in the opposite direction. Doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
Then of course it was days later, but before we found out the real extent of it, I mean, it was a couple of days later, and we drove into Asheville only to find all of these hoople heads standing above these bridges. I mean, you couldn't get emergency vehicles through because these idiots were parking on the bridges and gawking and taking pictures of houses floating down the river. Yeah. It was just I mean, it was the best of times and the worst of times, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. It was
like you pointed out. Yeah, you had people that were helping each other, and then I saw the absolute worst of humanity all at the same time. And it's still hard to kind of piece it all together because I'm watching people laughing at other people losing everything they have, and who even knows how many people died here because the numbers aren't anywhere close to correct, but they're still lying about that. Okay, so
one thing on that though, Billy, we were actually kind of, I'm going to say we were blessed in a way because we couldn't get out. I mean, you couldn't get over any of the bridges. You couldn't really get out through Spring Creek. We couldn't get towards Tennessee because that bridge was, iffy. So we were really stuck here for a few days.
Yeah, you couldn't go any further than Newport. And then our town itself was actually kind of cut into two different sections. Because one was the French Broad and then the other one was the Spring Creek. So we were without communication for what? It was
4 days.
4 days?
Yeah, like you said, when the power went out, it went out, for really what seemed like no reason because the storm was gone. And then it took a while, but then the Wi-Fi went out.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like really strange because we could run our Wi-Fi without the power. And we were like, okay, this ain't no big deal. We've done this before. Then the Wi-Fi went out and we're like, well, that's weird.
And then the cell phone towers were down for days.
That's exactly how it went here. Now, I'm a journeyman electrician. I've been doing this work for a long, long time, and I can tell you that your electrical wires are definitely on your poles. Your electrical stuff is the highest, and then below that is your communication wires. Now, we lost communication before we lost power, which doesn't make any sense because if a tree fell on it, it's got to knock down the hot wire in order to get to the communication lines. So there was none of this that made any sense at all. It was as if it was almost, I mean, where I was, I mean, it was bad, I guess. I mean, there were trees down, but it didn't take us long. A whole gang of people were down there with chainsaws, getting it out of the road and making things passable again. But the way the sequence of how this thing unfolded seemed as if it was almost manufactured. And I still can't, I mean, I can't say for sure what happened, but we were out for a week. But then again, I mean, where we are right now, it's a strange time. So I'm going to kind of fast forward a little bit and get into, look, y'all, they just said Hot Springs, it was flooded, and it was. Marshall was absolutely decimated. Hot Springs, the same thing. And they're basically downstream of the French Broad River. It jumped the banks, wiped out everything. Folks, I got to tell you that this whole region runs exclusively on tourism. I mean, everything about it runs on tourism. So as I understand it, I mean, you guys were definitely impacted. I mean, so talk to me about that if you wouldn't mind. I mean, because there's so many, nobody's talking about the people like you and I who are small business owners, and nobody came in to help us out. Nobody did.
No.
And did anybody come in to help you? I mean, in terms of the government or anybody else?
No, definitely not. No, there was no government help. There was really nothing. The only people that came out would have been Samaritan's Purse. But other than that, no government help. And yeah, we are a small business. We bought a vacation rental cabin business. So that is 100% tourism. People come here to, visit the town because Hot Springs is a really cool place. So is Marshall. And, people come here to hike, fish, all that kind of outdoor stuff. And, once that storm hit, we were closed.
We had to go. October is usually our busiest month because of the leaf lookers. People come out to see the changing of the leaves in the fall. And we had to cancel the reservations, or our guests had to cancel on their own. One thing I'm going to say about this is when ours was canceled, there was extenuating circumstances where people could get their full refund back. When the California fires happened, Airbnb was helping those who had properties there and helping those businesses.
Wow.
And like here, they were not helping, they were hurting.
Yeah, they did not.
But that's just my own little 2 cents.
No, I'm glad you pointed that out, Amy. There's a whole lot. It's like it was like so many things happened to compound the tragedy in so many different ways. It was like, and it wasn't organic. And you don't need a good eye to see it. Now, a lot of the folks around here are unwilling to see it, but if you have a good eye, you could definitely see what was going on there. So that basically puts you guys in the dark, so to speak. I mean, right off the bat. So have you been able to come back online? I mean, were your rentals, did you lose anything in terms of damage or anything like that?
No, we had one tree fall and it didn't hit anything. So we were very blessed and fortunate there. But what it did cause us to do, once we were closed, is really pray about discernment on which way, we should be going with the business and, our life and our farm. And it was actually Mike the Fit Farmer. He visited and said, well, what you're doing is a ministry. Have you ever thought about turning it into a ministry? And we've talked about it before, but never had anybody confirm that before. So that's what we did. We turned our entire property into a ministry that now provides housing, long-term housing for people in the area that either had damaged houses or looking to move to the area, so they could have a nice place to live. It's rustic, but it's a nice place to live. And if they want to be part of this lifestyle, they could also participate in the homestead. So that was a huge pivot that we've made, because we no longer do short-term rentals unless it's for family or friends that want to come out and visit, and that doesn't really count.
Or if you're coming into town to volunteer, to help with the rebuild.
Correct. So we've had people come to, even during the initial recovery stage, people came in, volunteers to stay with us. We had a couple guys from Chicago come down there, a couple firefighters, and they were in town for about a week. And they went to different areas, and they were awesome. We had some long-term guests come back. A group of Mary Kay ladies came in. They stayed with us as they normally do, but then they went down into town and actually worked on one of the
campsites.
Campsites at the Hot Springs Spa.
Yep.
So, it's nice to offer that, for volunteers to help with the recovery in town too.
So is that where you are right now? I mean, you moved exclusively. So do you no longer do any short-term rentals at all? I mean, what happens when, man, it's kind of hard to imagine, because I'm like, so I was going to ask, what are you going to do when things come back online? Because I just don't see, I don't know where it is. I don't know what it's like over in Hot Springs. I just don't see the needle moving anywhere in Asheville. I'm looking at 12-foot debris piles that are still there. And it's not as if I don't know what a disaster looks like. I grew up in Oklahoma. We had tornadoes all the time. And then I'm here to tell you, a month later, you'd never even know that it happened. Here, I don't even see the needle moving even that much. I mean, if it is, I can't see it. So in terms of Hot Springs in the town and all that's going on over there, is anything moving at all?
Yes.
Some places are rebuilding. Other places are still, they got a long way to go.
Mm-hmm. We've had a couple places reopen that were directly in town. The brewery in town is actually up and running again. And what else?
The coffee shop, but they ended up moving from the location they were at. Bluff Mountain Outfitters, but they had to move from the location they were at. Gentry Hardware is really close to being open. Vast has another location.
They have a location in Hot Springs, and they have a location now in Mars Hill.
But it's going to take a while. I mean,
it's shocking that any of these places are actually opening, because as I understand it, I mean, they probably didn't have flood insurance. No, I think we know of one place that had flood insurance, like a big policy, and they are actually fighting with the insurance company right now, because the insurance company is only looking to give them a fifth,
a quarter or a fifth of what the entire policy should have been.
So, which is horrible.
Yeah, we're seeing this definitely. Excuse me. Had I not had an insurance advocate that I had on this show, I would have been in exactly the same situation as everybody else. The insurance companies are rolling in here. They're lowballing. They're not, or basically saying, basically the adjuster came out here, said, yeah, okay, looks like we're going to get you a new roof, new sheetrock, new floor. Yeah, it definitely happened. Then he leaves, sends me an email saying, oh, my bad. We're not going to cover all that. And I'm like, hold on. I'm paying for the best insurance. I got the same insurance that the Biltmore State has. And you're going to tell me that I'm not covered? And then lo and behold, I do a pig processing out there with Jason and Lorraine. Just so happens they're right there in the class was a doggone insurance advocate. And he sent a couple of nasty emails, got me squared away. But you know what? I'm pretty doggone lucky. I mean, well, clearly blessed. But compared to so many others out here that lost everything and are getting absolutely nothing in return, Hurricane Katrina happens and, they're handing out money. We can drop pallets of money over to Iran or all these other countries, or we got money for bombs and bullets, but we don't have money to help out all these people that are still living in tents to this day, folks. Nobody's talking about that. I mean, I was talking with T last night about this very thing, but people are still living in doggone tents around here.
Yeah.
And the needle, and William, my son, I just put it on the screen here. He says the needle hasn't moved at all. And he was just out here, and he and his business partner, they were rolling through here and they were checking out a number of places. And so many places are just still not doing anything. And honestly, if you can't, I hear that Small Business Association, of course, they're giving out loans, but I don't see any grants. I don't see a whole lot of grants get.
No,
Already stuck in a hole from COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that whole SBA loan avenue is a joke too.
No, we were back and forth with them for 5 months.
Yeah.
And then the best they could do is like, well, you lost what we could see like X, this amount, and we can give you a loan for that amount and, for what you've lost, with low payments. I'm like, that just gets me back to ground zero, but does not.
Well, it's back to ground zero, but deeper in debt
Exactly.
too, with, another interest rate. So
that does not help. I don't need a loan. We need.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But that was a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it always is when you're dealing with anything with the government, especially people. I mean, everybody in this area.
Yeah.
I know a number of business owners in Asheville, and they were still not even, this whole town has not been the same since COVID. Not anywhere near. I mean, the whole vibe, the whole everything about that town has changed ever since COVID. And now you get hit by this. I was there the other day, and it's a ghost town compared to its former glory.
Wow.
And this is a town that runs. I mean, these guys were already in the red, and I guess we're about to find out, because I just don't see a whole lot of people floating a river that's a disaster zone, and I just don't know how it's going to pan out. But back to your ministry, because honestly, that sounds like a pretty awesome solution to what you got going on right now. So you're doing long-term rentals, and then you also throw in the homestead option. Do you have anything available out there, or are you all booked up?
No, actually, we still have 3 cabins available. We already have 2 people here living long-term. And one has been here since actually before the storm even happened. And the other one's here for another month or so, as far as we know.
Yeah.
And then, we have 3 cabins open, we're constantly looking for people that would, want to live this lifestyle. So it's a vetting process too. We've had people come out. A lady showed up, she wanted to live here, but she was not in a good enough shape to live out here in these conditions. So we kind of that one didn't work. But we've had other people come and stay with us, even like if it's 2-3 months, get back on their feet. That kind of option is always available too. But yeah, it's kind of exciting. It's scary because, we're basically opening up our home and our mountain to people. And it's a long-term investment with them. When you have short-term vacation rentals, you don't see them very much. They come in, they go, whatever. But this, I mean, it's, you're here, you're living here. We're going to have interaction, so it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but it feels right, I guess is the best way to put it.
But it's also a good opportunity for somebody who may want to get into homesteading, but they don't, have maybe the funds to go out and buy, 10 acres, or they don't have the knowledge of how do I raise sheep, or,
or just don't want to do it alone.
Yeah. But this would be an opportunity. Like if we can all work together, like we get somebody who knows gardening very well. It's like, okay, you work on that part, we'll work on this part. Mm-hmm. You get a bunch of people together. It can be a blessing for not only this mountain, but like bring it into, the community and in the town as well.
Mm-hmm. Because that's our mindset. The mountain has to take care of the mountain. Then we go out into the neighborhood, then the town of Hot Springs, then, countywide through Madison County. but unless the mountain's taken care of, nothing could happen. So, people with any kind of skill sets, are great to have, but even if they don't have the skill sets, we'll teach them what we can. And we develop skill sets as we go. I've only been doing this for about 5 years now. Is it 5 years? 6 years? And Billy, you and I are the same age. So you have, 3-4 times the experience that I have in doing this. But, even with our limited experience, we could still teach people what we know. We could teach somebody how to raise a really good turkey.
Yes, yes, you can. In fact, folks, the best turkey I've ever put in my mouth, they raised. And I still got part of it out there. In fact, I was going through the freezer the other day and I thought about y'all. I'm like, good night, man. That turkey was off the meat wagon. And wow. And you guys raised it. So it was absolutely fantastic. But no, I think there are so many people that have written to me before, especially younger folks that don't necessarily have the funds, or they're in a position like, I wish I'd have known y'all had this thing going, because I would have sent a number of people your way. Hopefully no freakazoids, but because that sort of thing does happen. I mean, that have written and said, hey, is there anybody out there? I don't have the experience. I got a little bit of money saved up. I could hit the road for X, and they go out woofing, and they work as a woofer somewhere. Now, I've heard people that have love-hate relationships with that whole program, and whether or not they love it or hate it depends on obviously where they are. And I really like what you're opening up here, because it's an option to do. You can learn this thing, and if you have limited funds, okay, this is where you can find out. This is where you can test your metal and say, okay, if you're a person that's done a desk job your whole life, maybe you ain't cut out for this. And this is a way for you to find out. Maybe you spend 6 months of your life going walkabout, and you go rent one of these cabins for a while, and maybe you work as a hand there. I can't think of a better option. I mean, that sounds like a wonderful win-win situation.
And that's what we thought too. Because our terrain is very similar to yours. And if you want to really test your metal, I mean, this is the terrain to do it in. I mean, because it's hill repeats all day. Moving animals, we're working on the garden space. So it's going down to the garden space, clearing woods. I mean, the section we just put our pigs in, it took some clearing first, a little bit of ground clearing so we could get the fencing through it. And, it's nothing flat and it's nothing easy, but it is very fulfilling. It
is. And if you can farm, I'm glad you pointed that out, Ken, because if you can farm in this environment, you can farm anywhere. And that's a real deal. I mean, there are so many more challenges. I mean, you get the beauty of the mountains, but you also get the rigor. It's like, you're not going to get the yin without the yang here. You get the beauty of the mountains. You got rivers everywhere, breathtaking scenery. I mean, there's a reason people come here for vacation. There's a reason people, hack it out of the wilderness where they, in these little enclaves that we have around here. And nothing's ever, it's not like where I grew up in the Midwest in Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, Nebraska, any of those places where you can see for miles. Everything changes with every bend in the road. There's nothing straight here.
Right.
Interstates, I mean, nothing is straight here. It's going up while you're curving. It's all these different things, and it makes for a beautiful environment, but it's also a very challenging one too. And that's why, you get the stigma about a mountain man or a mountain woman, and it fits because honestly, you have to be a very special kind of tough, as you well know, to work in these mountains. But the good thing is, if you could come to a place like yours and learn, then let's say you're from a place in the low country, all of a sudden farming just got a whole lot easier to you there, because you don't have anywhere near. For me to do high density grazing in these mountains is 10 times tougher than it would be any other place that I ever lived. But because of that, it's made me more efficient and made me a better farmer. So, at a place like yours, somebody were to go there, rent a cabin for a while, learn, test their metal up in those mountains. And then all of a sudden they go down to the lower country. They're going to realize they're going to look at the world a whole lot differently.
Oh, yeah. We visited other farms, and, when you go there and they have a bunch of flat land,
and complain about it.
I'm
You
like, I
heard
can
that,
do
dude?
it all day. But yeah, they're complaining about, moving fence or whatever. I'm like, what's so bad about this? I mean, come to my place. We'll walk up a couple hills.
I swear, it blew my mind. I remember me and William, I think, did a consultation one time, and we were at another person's place, and they were complaining about these rolling hills, and that's all they were, was rolling hills. And I'm like, and they're like, man, I just wish I didn't have to deal with all these hills. And I'm like, bro, you don't know hills, man. I'm literally farming up the side of a doggone mountain.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, for the people that want to come out here and you want to go Daniel Boone style, man, this is the place to get it done. So it's really awesome that you have a opportunity. Is there anything else? I mean, so you're opening it up for people that obviously are going to pay for a place.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in terms of the people that are volunteers, because I've seen a number of people from Baptists on Mission. How does that work? I mean, do they just rent the place? Because I'm mentioning it to them because I know these guys are commuting all the way from Burnsville to work over in what's that community where you guys came over and helped out?
In the Rollins.
Yeah, in the Rollins community. They're driving all the way from the other side of Burnsville, and I was like, okay, so these guys could basically, if it's possible, they could rent one of your places for their stay here for a month or two.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, all they have to do is they can contact us directly. We have all the information on our website, which is mountainsidecabins.com. Our emails there, our phone numbers are there. We actually have a landline. So if you text, make sure you text the cell phone number, not the landline number. But yeah, it's easy to get a hold of us, but it's not always easy to get here.
Well, I think that's part of the allure that brought me here. It really is. I love the fact that everything, we're going to put it up on the screen for those that may be interested, but also our biggest listenership is obviously going to be in the audio format. So we'll make sure we put everything in the show notes. On the live shows, we don't have we have a fraction of what we get, for the audio podcast. So anybody out there listening right now, it's mountainsidecabins.com, www.mountainsidecabins.com. So you can go check them out there. And it's cool that you've made that transition into a ministry because so many people, Michelle sent me an article the other day. Now it isn't the end of the world, folks, but I just want to say that, what was it? Somewhere in the neighborhood of like 40% of the businesses in the Asheville area aren't coming back. Wow. I mean, they're done. They're not coming back. Now that doesn't mean something's not going to take its place because that's kind of how, our model works in the United States of Amnesia, but things will come back. It's not happening anywhere quickly nowhere near as fast as I'd hoped, but a lot of the outlying areas aren't. Look, if you come here, that's usually not where you're going to want to hang out anyway. Mm-hmm. You're telling me the brewery's back and some of the things that made hot springs are coming back. Are the actual hot springs still there, by the way?
They are. They had to dig to find them because they were under so much of the sediment. But yeah, they got the hot waters flowing again.
Hot waters flowing. They have hours. They actually have hours of operations listed on their website. So yeah, if people want to book a tub, they could contact them directly. Go get a tub, and it's an actual hot springs mineral water tub that they'll fill up the tub. You get your tub. Then when you're done, they drain the tub, clean it, and keep on pumping in the fresh water for folks.
Okay. So, I've been a little bit afraid to go to some of these tubs out there because I thought it was like the ones in Arizona where it was like a communal. I was kind of freaked out by it. Yeah. Where you get some dude in there. I mean, I'm out there working on surf tips out there and some of these guys smelled like 30 miles of swamp. And I'm like, hold on. Whoa, you mean, everybody's in this tub together? I don't think so.
You get your own fresh water.
Your own private little bungalow with your own tub. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll go ahead and give it a shot now, but I'm not down for the communal thing, especially with these freakazoids around here.
No.
Oh no, yeah, they drop a witch or something in there with me. Place starts boiling. I mean, who even knows what happens?
Yep.
Man, so basically you guys got it all going on over there. I mean, how are you holding up after all this? I mean, does it feel like obviously you got to that place, life's great. Things have changed, COVID happens and they come up with the sweet and sour sniffles and everybody loses their minds. That probably devastated you for a while. Then you're getting back on the wagon, and then all of a sudden this happens. Do you have any regrets about this whole thing? Or are you able to roll with the punches?
No, I think God is definitely in all of this. We wouldn't have even thought to open a ministry or a nonprofit without probably being pushed this hard into it. But yeah, we took those steps, and we feel very confident that this is where God is leading us.
Yeah, and we pray about that every day. It's like, if we weren't meant to be here, I believe the Lord would have done something to move us already. We know He wants us here. We know in our hearts that the ministry that we have going on now, and even the food distribution part of it, is going well. We've reached out to a couple people, a couple companies like True Leaf Market, and they've sent us some like grow kits, seed kits. So we're actually taking these donations from other companies and distributing them through the county actually. So grow kits going into town, grow kits going into Spring Creek Community Center. Amy actually did a class at the Woodson Branch Nature School on microgreens. So if all these, if all these other blessings weren't going on to keep us going, we would know that it's time to move on. But these blessings that are overflowing, is just proof positive that the Lord wants us here to keep on trucking on and just trust Him.
Well, the days of darkness definitely have a way of making us see the light. And sometimes it takes, nobody ever wants to go through this type of thing. Nobody. I mean, not ever. But on the other side of it, like you said, this is how you test your mettle sometimes, or how the Lord tests us. You were going to say something, Amy?
No, it's like my faith is stronger through this whole, I call it the flood because it just seems so weird that it's a hurricane in the mountains. But yeah, it's like, there's some verses I can't even read through these days without getting all teared up because like I'm just living it.
Living it day by day.
I'm right there with you. I'll be honest with you. Through all of this over the last couple of years, really since COVID, I mean, I can honestly say, and I know Michelle would vouch for me too, my prayer life has never been better. But it sometimes takes that crucible of really hard times to put me on my knees. And now, one of the little things, and it seems like a little thing to most people, but every time I take a drink of water, I get on my knees and I pray. And I thank the Lord for it, for I do a lot of biohacks and some crazy things that I got going on all at the same time. And I'm like, okay, if I'm going to drink 2 gallons of water a day and I'm going to use the hydrogen water bottle to do this, that means every single time I take a drink of that water, when I drink at least 16 ounces at a time, that'll be a pretty good time for me to pray. So I use that as a means, and honestly, it's just bringing me that much closer. But it took all of this because honestly, during COVID, I mean, the hurricane's been a little easier to deal with for me than what COVID was because I saw right through it. And I know a lot of people didn't. And I'm like, the way I was treated was, I think all of us felt what it must have been like during Jim Crow.
Yeah.
In fact, I have a funny story about how I went down in a bakery when they told me, well, this is just one little anecdote is, I went to a bakery in Weaverville. You may know the one I'm talking about. And, they had just come online. And you could now go. Now, part of the appeal of a bakery is being able to, because you eat with your eyes first, right? So they were doing all these weird things. And then finally they opened it up where you could actually come in the store. I go in the store, everybody's wearing a mask. I'm waiting in line just like everybody else, but I'm not wearing one. And the guy comes up, hey, sir, would you mind putting on a mask? And up until this point, I would just lose it. And I would make sure that I would snap at these people so bad that they would never, ever think of messing with me again. Or I'd just have a nasty look on my face where they wouldn't even mess with me in the first place. And so I said, you know what? I'm kind of a comedian sometimes. I'm going to turn this into a comedy show. So I'm waiting in line, and the people on either side of me, they're 6 feet on either side of me, but I'm just kind of doing my own thing. I get up in the line. Young kid comes over. He says, sir, would you mind putting on a mask? I said, well, no, right here in my pocket. I got a letter from my doctor basically saying I have to breathe clean air. Well, sir, we're going to need you to put on your mask. I'm like, well, I'm not putting one on. And then he says, okay, well, I'm going to have to go get I said, get whoever you need, man. I just want to get something and leave. Just let me get whatever it is and I'll leave. He says, well, sir, I got a better idea. Do you mind waiting on the outside? I said, oh, I got it. Oh, so this, and now everybody in here in this whole bakery is hearing this conversation. You already know where I'm going with this, Ken. And I said, oh, I see you guys, in addition to the pastries you have here, you offer the genuine Jim Crow experience. So I can see what it was like back when they had sit-ins during Jim Crow. So I'm literally talking as loud as I can without yelling. And I'm like, so you want me, a brown person, to wait on the outside, and knowing, of course, I'd never do the race card or anything like that. But I did it because I know how woke these people are, and they would lose their ever-loving minds. So I did this at that bakery in Weaverville. And so I said, so I'm going to get the Jim Crow experience. Man, I've always wondered what that was like. Are we going to do Brown versus Board of Education when we're done with that? This kid has no idea what I'm talking about. And then next thing I know, I'm waiting in line. Here comes the manager, and she's talking as low as she possibly can. She says, sir, excuse me, what am I hearing about Jim Crow? And then, of course, I'm like, oh, so you're here to enforce the Jim Crow thing? And they were like, sir, what would you like? It's on the house. I'm like, no. I'm going to pay for it to make sure you guys know that I'm not looking for anything for free. I'm going to make sure I pay for it. But there wasn't a person. The only person in that whole store that was laughing was me. But the point being is that I was able to take what was, to me, an agonizing time, and maybe start using my sense of humor a little bit more, where I would just snap and blow up and just let them have it. I didn't care where I was not going to take it anymore. And then it just got to the point where, okay, I'm going to make a comedy show out of this. And I really wish I would have filmed some of this stuff, because it would have been really good comedy. Like the next time they try to pull masks, yeah, I'm going to make the most viral video anybody's ever seen.
Awesome.
But, I didn't mean to monologue so long, but the point being is these things have a way of making us, as a result of all this nonsense, my prayer life is better than it's ever been. And like I said, one of the things to come out of this is, with every drink of water I take, I get on my knees. So I'm with you, Amy. There's certain times where one of my goals is memorizing the Book of Psalm. And I'm doing a pretty good job of it. But there are a couple of these passages in all of this that kind of choke me up every time I think about them, every time I say them. So I can absolutely relate. So once again, sorry to go on about, let's see what. Okay, I see some stuff going on in the chat. I guess I didn't know what was going on there. If you would, tell everybody where they can find you, and tell them about your YouTube channel.
Well, our YouTube channel is Mountainside Homestead with Ken and Amy. Mm-hmm. We don't have a big following. We started doing the YouTube thing to really keep family up to date with what's going on. My mom likes to watch and see what's going on, so that's the main kicker for it. But we've grown. We've got a small base of people that steadily watch the videos. We're also, like we said before, the website is mountainsidecabins.com. We're actually going to be at an event coming up, and that's in Hot Springs. They're having a town and trail fest. It used to just be the Trail Fest where they celebrate the Appalachian Trail, but Rebuild Hot Springs is now sponsoring the event, and it's now the Town and Trail event. And that's going to be May 2nd and 3rd in Hot Springs. So we'll have a table out there on May 3rd, and we're going to be distributing goods that have been donated to us, like grow kits, herb garden starters. We'll have clean fresh water for people to drink, things of that nature. And I think that weekend is also just another thing we're supposed to be at as just visiting as normal people is the mountain readiness. So if we see people out there too, that'd be awesome. But that's about everywhere we're planning on being right now.
Well, isn't mountain readiness going on at exactly that same time?
Yeah,
Yes.
we figured that out this morning. It's like we don't go anywhere, and we're double booked.
So we're trying to figure out how we're going to be in two places at once right now.
One of us will probably be one place, one the other.
Yeah.
But.
Oh my goodness, man. Because when I heard you mention it, as soon as I heard you talk about it, I'm thinking, man, this sounds like you. We don't leave. I mean, well, Michelle never leaves. I get out. I don't know if that's entirely true. We get out maybe once a week if we're lucky.
Yep. To run errands.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Go to town, do whatever. But we don't ever get to hang out with people like y'all unless it's always like every time people like us ever get together, it's always we're working. Mm-hmm. We get together to work. So when you said that, I was like, man, I'd really love to go check this out. But I'll be out at Mountain Readiness getting my training on. So, yeah. Folks, definitely check out Ken and Amy. They're fantastic people, just salt of the earth kind of folks. And definitely go over to their YouTube, go check them out. They were one of the folks, along with Renewed Homestead and a number of others, that helped out on that project out there for Living Soil Foundation. The one where I didn't get any real video of what happened out there, that kind of sucked. I don't know what happened, but we lost all the audio on that. But, a number of people came out to help. And I would love, if you guys got something going on over there, I would love to, be able to go over there and help out if I'm able, because that's pretty much the only times I ever leave the house anymore is to get materials, get food, or I don't know what else, I just don't leave very much. Like you said, it's funny. I'm just cracking up inside because we never go anywhere. And then when we do, it's like it's all stacked up at the same time. So yeah.
Yeah, the list is this long.
Well, I can absolutely relate. I want to thank y'all so much for coming on the show. And folks, go check them out because you're going to be glad you did. Until next time, stay alert, stay alive. The knowledge rings, roots that run deep, wisdom from soul, permaculture dreams. Let the ideas unfold. I'm moving with the truth. Feeling nature's good. We've got the answers. All we need to do, listen to the earth. They got us. Let's see the change. Watch the world spin. From the smallest sprout to the harmony begin. In the cycle of life, where the magic's alive.